Breaking news now regarding WWE Survivor Series 2022. In an interview with The Ringer, Triple H has confirmed plans for 2 WarGames matches, a men's and a women's match, which will not necessarily feature along the lines of Raw versus SmackDown. There are a number of teams already mentioned as potentially involved. To directly quote the WWE Chief Content Officer Triple H says, "We'll have a men's WarGames match and a women's WarGames match. The tradition of the Survivor Series has ebbed and flowed and changed slightly over time, but this will be similar to that. This will not be Raw versus SmackDown, it'll be much more storyline driven. I still look at it as a traditional component to Survivor Series in there because it's large teams of people competing. We just upped the ante a little bit with WarGames and made it evolve." 2 WarGames matches planned for this year's Survivor Series. I've been discussing this during Spoiler Warning on Mondays and Fridays, times listed there, but I didn't necessarily think they were going to get it done in time this year. I have been able to narrow it down to Survivor Series though, so I am looking to confirm this, and I will be doing so before Spoiler Warning later on today. The teams on the women's side are based around Damage Control. This is one of the reasons we have seen Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi Blackheart involved with Damage Control on SmackDown this week. We of course also have Bianca Belair still very much competing against Bayley. This means at the very least we would have Damage Control versus Bianca, Raquel and Shotzi. However, there is a lot more potential to this. Someone else could join Damage Control. I'm looking not necessarily at Liv Morgan, but it's as much as anything else as likely that Bianca Belair will not be directly involved as she is currently a champion. So it could be, for example, Raquel and Shotzi, potentially Aaliyah as well, but could involve people slightly lower down the card, such as Alexa Bliss and Asuka, who are not necessarily hugely involved at the moment. On the men's side, there is a potential for a large amount of carnage here, which is exciting me a lot. The Bloodline is currently competing on all fronts. We have the Drew McIntyres that could be involved here and are likely to be so. We also have Seth Rollins, who still has some claim to competition with Roman Reigns. We have Kevin Owens. We could have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a team by the time we get around to WarGames, especially when you consider that Kevin Owens has competed in a WarGames before. We also currently have the Usos working against Imperium. Sorry, not Imperium. The Brawling Brutes, Fight Night. I've sort of buried the lead here, but making it very possible that we could have a 9-man match featuring Imperium versus Fight Night versus a Bloodline, being the Usos and Solo Sikoa. That's before we even consider how Roman Reigns himself might be involved here. The idea that we are getting WarGames on the main roster is an exciting one to start with, but the fact that it could be a Survivor Series starting new 5-on-5 traditions, potentially with elimination elements, submission elements, this is a very, very exciting thing that really would not have gone over the line if not for the fact that Vince McMahon is no longer in charge. Triple H naturally is stepping up from NXT to the main roster. A number of changes have taken place, a number of surprise appearances. We've seen Braun Strowman, we've seen Johnny Gargano, etc. This, for me, will be the pinnacle so far of those changes that have been made. We'll have more information during Spoiler Warning tonight at 10 PM UK, that's 5 PM Eastern Time, and more as it develops. Remember to hit subscribe because more is coming. Thank you everyone, and goodbye.